you'll be getting double the amount of gains that you would be if you avoided all of these mistakes that people make. So so back again today, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 things you should be avoiding when trying to grow muscle. Now, everybody's done these things, I've done these things, and if you can cut them out early or just mitigate some of them, no matter where you are on your path, then you're going to be getting more gains. So in my assumption, you'll be getting double the amount of gains that you would be if you avoided all of these mistakes that people make. So let's say in a year's time, you would have got the amount of gains that you would have got within 2 years' time if you would have carried on doing these things. Now, this is just for everybody. This isn't just for bodybuilders. This isn't just for people that even necessarily go to the gym, but people that want to put on muscle and people that are going to the gym. Just anybody can benefit from doing these small things. So just quickly, before we get started, if you could please hit the subscribe button down there if you haven't already, that would really help me out. Thank you very much. So starting with number one, I'm going to be talking about fasting and missing meals, okay? So you do not need to fast and miss meals. All you're doing there is putting your body into like a state of defense. So if you've gone 12 hours without eating food, your body's going to start thinking that it's not going to get food again, and that's going to put it into less of a fat burning state and more of a reserve state. So it's going to start holding on to them fat reserves because it doesn't know when it's actually going to be getting fed next. And also, you get 5 opportunities in a day for protein synthesis to occur. So if you were trying to build muscle, which you are, if you're watching this, then you want to hit every single one of these opportunities basically. So if you're eating 4 times a day, that's nearly as good, but 5 times a day it would be optimal. Cut out the fasting. Whether it's breakfast you're missing or not eating before bed, it doesn't matter if you eat after dark. You're not a gremlin, for God's sake. Everything doesn't just shut off and you just start putting on tons of weight around your stomach just because you're eating past 8 o'clock. Just don't fast, okay? So number 2, this doesn't apply to everybody because a lot of people do skip it out. So if you're doing cardio, say you're trying to put on muscle and you're doing cardio, you don't want to be doing very high intensity cardio, and whether that's HIIT cardio, high intensity long cardio, or just high intensity cardio full stop, right? Because the main factor of that is your body isn't going to be able to recover from this high intensity cardio that you're doing maybe every other day or every day, I'm not sure what, and as well as the muscle growth recovery. So you don't see people like Mo Farah and long distance runners also being professional bodybuilders. You can be like a very good long distance runner and a very good biker, or you see triathlon athletes, obviously because they're working that same system. I'm not saying to cut out the cardio altogether, by the way. Cardio is still good for everything, including your heart health and whatnot, but just try and not do these ridiculous HIIT classes if you're trying your best to put on muscle. Now, moving on to number 3, okay, this is one of the most important ones for me. Every time that I get a client and I'm trying to coach somebody, this will be one of my main questions straight away, is how much sleep are you getting per night? Because people disregard it. People stay up late on their phones, stay up late on their Xbox, and then they end up getting up early because they've got work or whatever the next day, and they'll be getting not enough sleep, okay? Sleep is when you're actually growing the most, because you're in the highest state of recovering, because you're not obviously moving, you're in a state of relaxation, and your muscles are actually repairing during that time. So if you're someone that doesn't get as much sleep, you're going to be sacrificing the hard-earned gains that you've tried to get in the gym. I aim for around 8 hours of sleep, okay? This is what I tell people as well. Around 8 hours of sleep is probably the most optimal. I've seen studies where people say slightly more is better, slightly less is better, but overall I've found that 8 hours is probably the best for an optimal for recovery, and therefore more gains. Boom. So number 4, this one can apply to everyone across the board. Again, it is drinking and partying, okay? You might be thinking, oh yeah, but it's only applying to like the younger age people that are going out partying all the time every weekend. No, because people who are older also drink a lot. It's not also just the partying, it is the drinking. So if you're having like 10 bottles of wine a night or whatever, I mean, that was pretty extreme. If you're having like 2 bottles of wine every weekend and you're older, it still counts in this category, okay? So the drinking is obviously going to be empty calories, and it's not going to be muscle building at all. Any of these drinks, the calories that you're getting from them is not going to help towards muscle building at all. And also it writes off the next day, no matter what you say. Like, if you get up and you're proactive, that's better than just being in your bed having a horrible hangover or whatever, but it's still going to be not as optimal as if you would have just not had them drinks all the time. I'm not saying be a complete hermit crab and don't ever drink, but try and limit it to like occasions like birthdays or actual events, maybe Christmas and New Year's and stuff like that. You don't have to be drinking every single weekend to have a good time. And also, along that line, when you are drinking, it does mess up your sleep, because when do you drink? You don't drink from 12 midday to 4 in the afternoon and then go to bed at 8, do you? No, you end up drinking throughout the night, and it ends up messing up sleep, as well as other things that people may have at parties, okay, which also would mess up your sleep. And yeah, people know what I'm on about. Naughty. So, number 5, again, this applies to everybody, and I've probably done this sometimes in my gym sessions, is holding back in the gym. So, not giving 100%, not working hard enough, essentially, not working harder than last time, as Coach Greg would say.
And now you got to train harder than freaking last time.
So, you go to the gym, you're smashing your workout, okay, and you go in there, you're doing your 3 sets of 12 for each exercises, which is like the baseline, which is like what everyone knows about, which is what I started out doing. But you're not really going to failure, and you're never seeing that much progress. You need to go to the gym and you need to work harder than what you've done before. So progressive overloading every single time, pretty much as you possibly can. And that doesn't mean I'm saying go to the gym and every single set you're literally burning out till failure, because that would just be ridiculous. You would only ever get like 5 sets in and then wouldn't be able to lift anything else, okay? What I'm saying is, at least in 3, I would say, sets in the gym session. Say you're doing a chest and dry session, mega basic, I would say 2 chest movements you want to go to failure, and then maybe 1 on the tricep or 2 on the tricep you want to go to complete failure. So what do I mean by going to complete failure? I don't mean you get to 12 and it's really hard and then you rack it and then that's it. I mean, like, you're going until you cannot press that bar back up again, okay? So you're literally going until that you can't press it up again. That is a failure set, okay? Whether you need to grab someone or your gym buddy or whatever and just say, yeah, can you spot me for this? Your spot doesn't have to be for a 1 rep max, okay? This is what I try and tell a lot of people. It's for these failure sets and for like force reps and whatnot. But I'll go into that another day. So work harder in the gym. Number 6, okay? Dropping weight too fast. This has happened a number of times, and if you've got a little bit of fat on you, but you want to build muscle and you want to also drop that little bit of fat off, which is like 90% of people's goals that I normally speak to, do not suddenly start crash dieting and think, right, I'm getting on this hard, I'm going to crash diet, I'm going to drop my calories by 1,000 and I will get shredded, okay? Because you will get shredded, but you will be sacrificing the gains at the same time. You're not going to drop 1,000 calories and get shredded and maintain that muscle, because what's going to happen is, during the days, your body's going to eat through them fat stores, and it's going to eat through them at such a rate that it's going to end up eating into your muscle stores, essentially, and then you're going to end up burning away the muscle. So yeah, you will get shredded, but you will also be losing them gains. It takes less time to get shredded than it takes to be putting on hard-earned, dense muscle, okay? So don't sacrifice it, don't crash diet, and also it's not sustainable. Okay, number 7, this sort of ties in with the 5th point. So training only one body part 1 time a week. So say if you're doing legs and you're only doing legs once a week, or chest, or whatever it may be, that's not going to give you the most optimal amount of gains, okay? That's only going to give you 50 times in a year a chance for that muscle to grow, okay? So you want to be training at least 1 muscle group twice a week, I'd say. So try and hit your chest twice a week, your fucking legs twice a week, your back twice a week, everything twice a week at a minimal, because that will then give you double the amount of opportunity per year for that muscle to then get that growth, okay? So it will recover within that time. 1 whole week's recovery will recover. If you've only just started in the gym, you've had a really hard session on your legs, and 1 week later they are still hurting, yep, that is to be expected, because your muscle isn't used to it at all. But once you start going and you start breaking through them barriers and you get better at recovery, doing these things that I've mentioned, then you will start recovering at a much, much quicker rate, okay? So try and train at least your muscle groups twice a week. Okay, I'm not going to go into this next point too much. Number 8, it's going to be bulking, okay? So bulking does have its place. I would bulk up on an off season. Everyone should bulk up if they're trying to put on more muscle, and if they have that like body fat percentage to sacrifice. Now, what I mean by bulk up, I don't mean adding 1,000 calories on and getting fat and putting on muscle, because one, it's going to be harder when it comes down to shredding that weight back off again. Two, you'll be thinking that you've put on a lot more size and a lot more muscle than you genuinely have, because you've got that layer of fat over the top. And three, you just don't need to do that to put on the same amount of muscle. You don't need to put on that fat. You can be over your calories by 100 calories, okay? Not 1,000. You could literally be over by 100 calories and you'll still be in a surplus. You'll still be putting on the amount of muscle that you would be if you was in that 1,000 calorie one, okay? Now I'm talking about the everyday sort of people. I'm not talking about the top 3 Mr. Olympias in the world that would have to actually push past ridiculous amounts of calories. Okay, another big one. Some people are going to hate on this, but ego lifting, okay? Everyone has done it. Everyone does do it at some point. I couldn't even personally tell you my 1 rep maxes. People come up to me in the gym fairly often. I would say probably once every couple of weeks. I'll get one person say, oh yeah, what's your 1 rep max on bench? I have no clue. I haven't done my 1 rep max on bench for like 3 years. It's been since I've done a 1 rep max on bench, because I have no aspirations to do like powerlifting and whatnot. And so doing my 1 rep max isn't going to be the best for muscle growth, okay? It really isn't, on any of the movements, on the squats, on the bench, on the deadlifts, or anything, okay? So try to avoid it. I mean, people are still going to watch this and still going to ego lift. They're still going to go for 1 rep maxes because it feels good. Of course it does. Lifting one heavy weight and beating what you know that you could have previously done. But try and limit it. Don't try and go for it every month, or don't try and go for it every 2 months. Try and limit it to 3-4 months maybe, and control the weight as well. Don't be bouncing it off your chest like I see some people do. Control it. Pause at the bottom and then drive up, just to limit your amount of injury risk. Because as much as it is well and good doing your 1 rep maxes, it's not going to build your muscle, because it's not really hypertrophy at all, and also it's very injury prone, because you're lifting as heavy as you possibly can. You're redlining essentially your body like you would in a car. If you was to put your foot down on the accelerator and redline it, you are redlining your body to the absolute max. So yeah, just try and limit that as much as possible. Finally, down to number 10. Okay, this is the last one that I'm going to mention, and again, it applies to everybody, and so many people do it. I have done it. Everybody does it, okay? This is the improper use of supplements. Missing your supplements, okay? The amount of people that I speak to about the gym and they're talking to me about supplements, yeah, what little things can help me, and they haven't done they haven't ticked these other boxes, but they want to jump onto creatine, ashwagandha, testosterone, whatever natural supplements it might be. I'm just going to use creatine as like a baseline and explain that. So people will say, yeah, I've been taking the creatine. Oh yeah? Do you have it every day? Yeah, I have it most days. What do you mean you have it most days? Like, you need to be having it consistently every single day for them stores to be at their most optimal, okay? So don't have it 3 times a week, or don't just say, yeah, it's in my pre-workout. So when I have pre-workout, when do you have pre-workout? I don't know, 4 times a week, sometimes only 2 times a week because I'm having a break or whatever. You need to be having this consistently. This is why I don't particularly like having creatine in my pre-workout, because if I've got it in a powder form separately, I know that I can take that 5 milligrams every single day consistently without fail. If I'm gonna have pre-workout, if I need to have a pre-workout break from pre-workout, I can then not have to worry about but then I'm gonna be missing out on my creatine, etc, etc. So be consistent with these supplements, okay? Whether it's fish oils, creatines, multivitamins, amino acids, whatever it is, please be consistent with them, especially the creatine, because if you've had a few weeks off of the creatine, you will then have to reload the stores again, okay? You don't need to, but essentially you should be reloading your stores, because when you first start taking creatine, I'm not going to go into it too much again, otherwise I'll get sidetracked, but when you first start taking creatine, you want to take double to triple the amount of what it takes to maintain it. So 10 to 15 grams every single day for the first week, and then you want to drop down to 5 grams, because all that's going to do is just going to load your stores faster, your creatine stores, because it's a slow acting thing. And then you can just maintain keeping it topped up every single day with 5 grams. Okay, so thank you for watching my video. Please put in a comment, please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want more gains. Now, I've done a video about the divisions in bodybuilding. If you're interested in that, that's going to be down there. And if you want to watch any of the rest of my prep series or any other videos, then watch them up there. Until next time, let's make some gains. Boom.